so we're going to install a leveling kit for the front of this 2024 Chevy Silverado. Okay, so here are some of the parts that you're going to get. So when you get your leveling kit for your Silverado, so you get a metal plate, you get the shim plates, you get some stickers, you get your hardware, you get your instructions, and you get a brochure. So that's pretty much what you get. Okay, so let's get to it. We're going to start doing it. So first you're supposed to take off the skid plate and disconnect the power steering, a couple of screws on that, or a couple of clips on that. I'm not doing that. I didn't do that. I highly recommend doing it. Follow the instructions. But I'm going to show you how I did it. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take all the little clips off, because these, I don't want to break them, because that will happen. So I'm going to take these clips off. Okay, so you got those two off. Then what it says to do is to take the power steering rack off on the bottom here. And then it also says to move on to the top. So we'll start with that one. We'll do this one on this side, and then we'll do this one over here. Okay, so we'll take this one off. Doesn't look like it's spinning. I'm looking at that bolt down there. It's not. It's coming off pretty easy. You can use an impact if you want to spin it off, or an air ratchet. Then you're going to move on to the next one. Just in case you want to know, that's 21 millimeter. I think this one's 18. Yep, this one's 18. So you can use air tools. The only reason I'm not is for the video. Okay, I'm gonna leave this one kind of on because I don't want this just to fall out. I'm not doing the axle bolt as they say to do it. I'm gonna do it a little differently. I'm gonna knock this out, which will help drop it down. I'm gonna leave this on just in case to catch that. And then you got one more to undo. You got this one back here. So I'm gonna flip you around and we'll show you that one. Okay, but before I do that, I'm gonna knock this one up. There you go, just pops off. Okay, so we'll move on to the other side. Okay, so as well, you're supposed to take off the brake caliper. One thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take off this brake line. Because I know this is going to hang. I don't want the weight of it hanging on all these cables. Usually what I'll end up doing is I'll put twist ties to hold everything, to hold the weight. Okay, so as you can see, there's something leaking out of there. That's just water because it's in a U-trap. So it's actually not the brake line, it's just water leaking out. Okay, so let's get this one off. I think that's an 18 too. It is, but I know this one's gonna spin, so I'm gonna use a ratchet and a socket. So this is a 9 mil, and this is an 18 mil ratchet wrench. So we got that one. So just one thing, these nuts and the nuts that come off your shock or your strut look very similar. Just make sure you know the difference. Keep that one aside. Okay, we're going to undo the bolts on the lower part of the strut. These are 18 millimeters. Okay, so now this nut here that I left on is holding all the suspension. So that's why I'm leaving it on. So right now, basically if I undo these bolts, I'll be able to get the suspension out without actually undoing this and maybe just dropping this a little bit. But to put it in, once you have the 2 inches, you're definitely gonna have to disconnect this. Okay, so let's get the top part done. Okay, so for the top part, there's a bolt down here that you're supposed to take off this wire tray. This is right now we're working on the passenger side, which I'm showing you because I feel it's the harder side to do. Basically, I'm just gonna pop these off. Right, so I'm gonna pop that off, and I'm gonna pop that off, and then just move those up. And just move those kind of up and out of the way a bit. And then on the back side, so there's another one for a wiring harness. That's even harder to get to. It's a little clip. And you just kind of work it off. It's on the back. There you go. So it just pops up too. So I don't know if you can see that well in there, but it's on the back side. So the passenger side is the harder side to do because of these trays. Okay, you actually have to unmount it. There's bolts over here to undo. There's bolts over here to undo, so forth and so on. But to get this off, I'm just going to use a wrench ratchet to do them all. Okay, so I'll leave that one on. I'm going to do the back one because it looks like the hardest. I don't know if I can get to that one from the bay. Okay, so that one back one's actually going to be easier to get off by going down through the engine bay. You can actually see it from inside the engine bay. There you go. And that one's off. We can basically take the rest of it off by hand. Okay, let's go back in the wheel well. Okay, so we're back in the wheel well. We can remove this last bolt on the back by hand because we did it from inside the bay, and I have to admit it was way easier. These ones I can't see from inside the bay. Okay, so right now it's wedged. It's not going to fall out. It's sitting on there. So take the last two out, and then what we're going to do is we're going to remove it. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to undo this, lower it so we get the suspension out. I put a jack here. The car's on jacks as well as the jack that I use, so it's actually sitting on safety jacks. There you go. So then what I'm going to do is grab a couple zip ties. Through here. Through here. And basically what this is going to do is keep it from falling too far for me. Okay. So and then I'll take the jack out. That'll let it fall down more, and you'll see that these are holding it right now, and the suspension can come out. And that's it. That's how you just take the suspension out. And then you're going to want to take the back clip off. Okay, so this is always going to face out. When you spin it, you got to spin it 180, and then you want to take the back clip off. And in order to do that, you just put a screwdriver in the side of the clip, just bend it up, and it comes off. Okay, so that's the back clip that'll be under the axle. Okay, so let's go spin this, and we'll get it put back in. Okay, so usually I do this in on my bench, but today I'm gonna do this right here. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna do is mark it So I'm gonna mark it from the back side. And basically what it is this bolt here needs to be at the front now. Okay, so basically I mark here. We already know this is the back. There's that the back, and we know that bolt there. So that's it. In essence, so this is going to spin. These two aren't going to spin. We're going to need to compress the spring in order to do it. You could probably do it if you have a big enough pipe wrench and so forth like that, but I'm just going to compress it with some compression screws. Okay, so then what I did is, because this is all I have, I can't twist it by hand, so I actually have a big pipe wrench. And then what I'm going to do is flip it over. There's the mark. That needs to be on the front. Just twist it over. So there's the mark. There's the front. Okay, so that gets it pretty close. So now what we're going to do is we're going to undo it. And that's how you rotate it. So the other thing to note, so see the lines there. Now there's the front. The other thing to note, this was back here. These are not evenly spaced, and I'm going to show you. And that's why this all has to be rotated 180 degrees to get the same position when you put the cap on, because the bolts are in different positions. Okay, so we'll get to that right now. We're going to cut these off. So basically we're going to cut these to 1.25 inches. Okay, so you're going to mark one of these, each one of these 1.25 inches. Okay, then you're going to want to chamfer the ends of them. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make sure the bolts fit on. Okay, they all go on, no problem. Now next thing we got to check is height. Okay, so this is the part that took me a second to figure out why it wasn't working. So I'm going to show you this. So when you put this plate on, you would think they're evenly spaced, and they all go like that. First shot, pretty good. Spin it 180, and that plate doesn't go on. The holes don't line up. Let's put it in another one, and the plate doesn't go on. So basically there's only one way for these to go on, and that's the same with the bolting pattern in the car or in the truck. So slightly different, so you have to make sure you got it the right way. Same with this. So what I seen is the RC goes to the back of the car, so that'd be the back of the strut there, and so the RC goes on the back, and they go there and there. So you can see the RC, this is the front, that's the back, so you can read it. Okay, now what you're going to check, you need to check to make sure that none of these bolts are sticking out past there. So you can do it lots of different ways. Just need some kind of straight edge of anything, basically making sure that it's not sticking out. So they're not. So they're all lower. Okay? Okay. So you take this off, drop your bolts in. And so, and when you wonder why it's only 30 foot-pounds of torque for these bolts, it's because you'll just strip that out. That's why. Okay, because it's just sitting inside this hardened plastic. Okay, so RCA, back. This one's going to go there, there, there. Those are on. Then we're going to throw a washer on. I'm going to throw a nut on. Okay, so I'm gonna go get a torque wrench, torque these down, and then we'll install this. Let's get this strut in. So we got the strut all tightened up. This is the front, we've rotated it, and now we're gonna put it in. Okay, so there you go. I put it in from the front. If you want, you can put it in from the bottom. So, see how it just slid down? Now, it's in position. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a washer and a bolt on it. So put the last washer on and the last bolt. Actually, this might be easier to do from in the bay. So the same way you're going to take it off, same way you took that one bolt off, is the way we're going to put it on. Okay, we got the one nut up there in place. Now we're going to put the bolt in on the bottom. So this bolt, okay, so this bolt drops through from the top. Then you do your washer and that on the bottom. Then you're going to put your other bolt in. So this one here, you may have to adjust the angle of this a little bit to get it in, but we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. Nope, just led right in. Perfect. Okay, we'll grab an impact for that one. Okay. I'm just snuggening it up right now. Now we're going to tighten the other side. Okay, so to do this one bolt, you're going to need a 17 millimeter and a 17 millimeter. You're going to have to ratchet it from the bottom and hold it with the wrench on top. Okay, so you got the bottom ones tightened, top ones are still loose. Okay, so just move you in. So we're doing the top ones now. So again, just using my ratchet, my wrench ratchet. All right, I'm gonna go inside the engine bay, and I'm gonna do the back one. Okay, so we got the one inside tightened and torqued down. These ones here, they're all good too. So I'm at the point now. What I do when I'm going through it, so I can remember I tightened everything. I take a yellow paint stick and I just put yellow on it, so I know I did it. Okay, so now we're gonna start putting the rest of it together. Okay, so we'll start putting it together. So first thing I'm gonna do is get this in line. Get this in line as well. So we got the jack stand under it. I'm gonna cut this tie now. I'm kind of holding this with my knee. And then basically you're going to get it in position. Right. And then also this one down here too. So for the sway bar arm, basically that's what you're going to want to get level so you can get it in. Once you have those two level, you're good to go. So just kind of position that. Then you can jack it up into position. And you're looking for the sway bar linkage to be very close. There you go. So sway bar goes in. Bring this over. We got the bolt on that. Get the bolts on the sway bar. Okay, so the first one I'm going to tighten is the sway bar, because that's the one that'll be under pressure when we take the suspension off. So that's the 2 wrenches we need. If I remember correctly, it's the 18 millimeter and the 9 millimeter. Okay. So just to know I tighten that one. Okay, so now we're going to do the upper arm. Okay. This one I'll grab a torque wrench for, and we're going to tighten the bottom one here too, and then I'll grab a torque wrench and tighten these 2 up. Okay, so we'll tighten this one up. It's a 21 mil. Okay, so we're pretty much done now. We just got to put some more clips on and tighten up a couple more bolts. So I'm going to go around and torque these, and then mark them off, and then we'll put the rest of the clips on. Okay, so we got all the bolts tightened down. Now we're just going to put the little cables back in and stuff like that. So I always put a little anti-seize on these bolts that are going into aluminum, or cast steel, anything like that. It just makes them easier to get off. So these are 10 millimeters. So we took 3 of these off. So there's one for the brake line on the side and one on the back here. Okay, and that's it. So everything's back together. So we've tightened this, we've checked that, we've tightened those 2 down there. This is facing the right way. Tighten the bolts up there, tighten this one there, put these back on. We didn't take this off, and we tighten the sway bar arm. So now everything is back together. All we have to do is we have to raise the truck. So basically, because now we raise the suspension, you actually have to jack it up higher. So if you don't have a big enough jack, or you're gonna have to use blocks or something like that, that's what you're gonna need. Highly recommend having a couple jack stands around too. One I have the truck on right now while I'm doing the suspension and things like that. Okay, so now let's jack the truck up. Okay, so here's a before picture of it with no leveling kit on it, and then after the leveling kit installed, you can see that it raises the front end up a bit, and then you get your 2 inches. It brings it more up to a flat run. Okay, so there's the before picture, and there's the after picture. Okay, I hope this video helped you out. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Thanks, and have a great day.